stroke seat is a tiny bit different than some other seats in this circumstance. But our ideal position, we want to be as efficient as possible through the airway, right? So we want to have sort of a nice fluid motion, no extra motion, so not creating extra distance to travel. And we want to have as few breaks as possible. So as we pull to the back of the stroke, as we're pushing off that back wall, we want to lift up with the top thumb. There will be a small break that happens in the elbow to help get the paddle off the water, but we don't want a big break. And we don't want the bottom hand leading that exit. So the difference in what that might look like is if I pull through and I do a good job of pushing off the exit and lifting up with the top thumb. See, there's a little break, but then I'm able to move forward, my hips start swinging through, and I get back to my next stroke. Did you notice how this arm never comes above parallel to the surface of the water in that motion? If, however, I lead the lift with the bottom hand, see how the tendency is to get tight into the body and a big bend, and then as I approach, the angle tends to round off the front of the stroke.
Lead with the top hand.
What's that?
Lead with the top hand.
Lead with the top hand. So you're pushing off the back, you're squeezing your hip towards the paddle, and then you're lifting forward with that top thumb into the next stroke as you push your hips around to the next stroke. So looking at this stroke, and it's not dramatic, and in some circumstances maybe okay, I'll explain that in a minute. Pulling through, good sit up. Press down a little bit of a lever there, I'll come back to that as well. See how the lift leads from the bottom, and with it the shoulder gets high too, and you end up back on the recliner. So you end up lifting straight up, and then moving forward. Straight back down.
Can everybody see?
Okay. So the one part of this movement that's different for stroke seat is stroke seat is the one seat in the boat that it's okay to track upwards a little bit. Because if this boat is underpowered, you've got a bow weight that the stroke seat needs to get over. So stroke seat can occasionally move up if they need to. Everybody else, we want to push off the back and we want to stay low. So we're moving forward and down all the way to our catch, and that bottom arm never comes up above parallel to the surface of the water. With that exit, if we do a good job lifting up into the next stroke, what it allows us to do is it allows us to finish our stroke and then lift forward as we start moving into that next stroke. Lifting here not only affects the arm position, but the tendency then is to lift the body straight up. And so then we spend time at the back of the stroke here, and then we've got to hurry to get back to the front. So that sounds like a lot, and it's not. It's kind of simple. So there's sort of two elements of it. Really thinking about that exit, pressing off the back and pressing forward into the next stroke, and using that top hand to lead the exit instead of the bottom hand to lead the exit. So those are the two biggest things that I see.